Happy Halloween and welcome to the Prumihimo YouTube channel. Today I'd like to show you one of my favourite fun designs, and that is a Morse code necklace. So this video is going to be about how to create the Morse code. It's not actually going to be about how to do the fastenings or how to do Kumihimo regular round braid, because I have other videos for that. So this is all about this fun necklace, which at first glance just looks like a beaded necklace, but it's got a kind of secret message included, which is the fun of it. And for this, the great thing is all you need is some beading cord, Eslon Tex 210, that's the one that's about 0.5 millimeters in diameter, and some size 8 seed beads. So what's this secret message? It's all about Morse code. So Morse code is a system of dots and dashes to create letters. And so each letter of the alphabet is made up of its own unique combination of dots and or dashes. And so for this necklace, I've needed to work out what is going to be a dot and what is going to be a dash. So the smaller little sections there, that's a dot and that's a dash, which is slightly longer. So those are the dots and dashes. What about the gaps in between? So those have to be quite precise as well, because I need to be able to show what each letter is made up of and what each word is made up of. So if we take, I'm just going to start, I think I'll start here. So this is a letter and it's made up of a dot, a dash and a dot. And in between each of those, to show where they stop and start, there's a small gap. Now on either side of these, you've got a larger gap, because those are the gaps that are between the individual letters. And then if we look a little bit further along the braid here, we've got an even bigger gap, and that's the gap between the words. So what is this necklace trying to say to us? And I should say at this point that sometimes I get a little bit of criticism on these videos about too much talking and not enough demonstration. Now, this video is very much about talking and very little demonstration. So if that's not for you, turn off now. Otherwise, I hope you're still with me. And I'm going to move that up a little bit to there. And then it can only be read from one side, so you do need to know which side you started from. And if you're giving this as a gift, you would need to indicate to the person which end they need to read from, which end of the clasp. So if we look here, what we've got is a dash on its own, T. Then we've got a medium-sized gap. So we know that's the end of that letter. And we move along to the next medium-sized gap, and that gives us dot, dash, dot. Dot, dash, dot is R. Then we look along to the next medium-sized gap. We've got two dots. Two dots, I. We look along to the next medium-sized gap, and we've got dot, dash, dot, dash. C. Dot, dash, dot, dash. And then we look along and we actually come to a bigger gap. So we know we're coming to the end of the word here, and we've got dash, dot, dash. Dash, dot, dash. So that gives us trick. So I think you can see where I'm going to with this one. We've got the end of the word here now. And so now we look along to the next medium-sized gap to denote the end of the first letter, and we've got dash, dash, dash. And so that gives us O. And then we've got another larger gap here, so we know this is just a short word. This is the next letter, and it finishes the word, and it's dot, dash, dot. Dot, dash, dot. then, so it gave us all. And so, of course, the next one, medium-sized gap, we've got a large beaded section, so that's a dash. So that's a T, T, dot, dash, dot, R, dot on its own, E, dot, dash, A, and finally dash on its own, T. Trick or treat. So that's your trick or treat necklace. Now, of course, you could do it differently. You could do different colours. You can do bigger gaps to make it easier to read. I personally like it like this because I think that as you look at it just quickly, it just looks like an interesting necklace. And it's only when you actually start to inspect it closer that you can see what it's actually saying. So what I suggest you do is take a screenshot of that. And that's your key to making whatever you want to say in a necklace. So the way I worked it out, and the way you'd work out any word, is to just get a scrap of paper, get your letters down the side, write out either in words or in symbols your dots and dashes, and then we come to the number of beads. So every dot is going to be 2 beads on each chord, each of your 8 chords, and every dash is going to be 4 beads on all of your 8 chords. So you can just work out how many you need. So I've just, for each letter, I've worked out how many I need. I've added them up. So if you wish to write trick or treat, you need to have 82 seed beads on all of your 8 chords on your round braid. So how now do we actually create those gaps? So I'm going to just leave that there for reference. And here we are. I think I probably will have to remove one glove for this. Here we are with the disc all set up. Now, what you need to do is add in some extra dots. So you need to have 8 evenly spaced dots. Now your disc may have dots already at 32, 16, 8 and 24 at north, south, east and west. Or it may have the letters of the compass points. Whatever it has, you need to indicate 8 evenly spaced locations around your disc. So if you've got dots, just pop in the extra ones and they will come here, right in between. It's got to be right in the middle. So under the 4, under the 12, under the 20 and under the 28. And this is so we can braid using what I always like to call the dot-to-dot method. So to create a dot using the dot-to-dot method, we're going to just braid, adding in beads until our chords come to the next set of dots, the new ones we've put in. And that is going to be a dot, or if we don't add in beads, that could be a small gap. To do the dashes, we would carry on adding beads till we get past that first dot and onto the next one. And that would be our dash, or if we're not using beads, that would be the gap that you use in between the letters. And then if your piece is made up of several words, as mine is, you need to have an even bigger gap in between the words. And that's when you go on to the next set of dots. So I'm just going to do a little bit to show you what I mean, so you can see how the chords move round. So drop in your beads in the usual fashion. So I'm starting off, doesn't matter if you do top right or bottom left, just braid in your normal fashion, dropping in a bead every time you move a chord. So there we go. This way you don't have to do any really laborious counting. You do have to keep an eye on where you are on the disc and how close you are to the beads. Now, I've just realised this, for some reason I didn't seem to put any beads on there, so we're just going to have to pretend I did. Put a bead on there. There should have been beads on all of my chords. So I'm just going to carry on around. And as you can see, as I braid, my cords are moving away from that first set of dots and towards the next one. So I don't have to count individual moves, but I'm just keeping an eye on those dots. So dropping in my beads like this, and slowly I'm coming closer to the next set of dots, the new ones I put in. There we go. So here we go. Now I'm just coming towards them. That's the cord I didn't have any beads on, so don't worry about that one. Yours will have, I hope. There we go. And so now I'm on my next set of dots. And so I know that I've put in 2 beads from each cord, which is the total of 16 beads, and that creates my first little beaded section. Not easy to see, but there we go. Okay, so that was a dot. If I wanted a dash, I would just continue on until I get to the next set of cords. What I'm going to do though, I'm going to show you the small gap in between. And so I'm starting on those dots, and I'm just going to braid without beads until I get to those dots, the next set of dots. Again, you may notice me going to and fro. I've got other videos about that. You can go to and fro, you can turn your disc clockwise, you can turn it anti-clockwise. Everyone has their own way, and for round braid 8 cords it doesn't actually matter. So a lot of people will do this for speed, going to and fro, but you braid in the manner that you're most comfortable braiding with. So there we go. So that, now I'm back on the dots, or on the next set of dots, and so now I've done that little gap. So if I was going to do a dash, I would now start adding in beads until I get first to that set of dots and then round again. And that would mean I'd braided in 4 beads from each cord, total of 32 beads, and that would be my dash. And so that basically is how you continue. Now, what I haven't said is how much cord you need. For this particular braid, I would suggest being quite generous. You need about where are we at? 150 centimetres, which is 60 inches. It can be deceptive. When you're playing with your own words, do be generous with the cord, because some letters take up a lot more because they have far more components, more dots and dashes to them. So be generous, and you can always use that excess braid for something else. And when you've finished, obviously you can do whatever fastening you want. This is the toggle clasp fastening. I have a beautiful video all about that. This is your perfect Halloween trick-or-treat necklace. But of course, it could also just as easily be Christmas, birthday, whatever you want. So, happy Halloween, everyone. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll watch some of my other videos. Goodbye.